Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome. Thanks for joining me today in today's video. I want to talk to you about a concept that I call a solution looking for a problem. Which I know sounds kind of weird, but it's something that I like to use to describe scales. For example, I get a lot of students that'll come in and say, okay, I learned my pentatonic scale. I know all the boxes. I know all this, that, and the other thing. I still can't solo. No kidding. That's because scales don't necessarily help with that. Now, obviously, the notes that you need for your soloing are going to come from a scale, but knowing a scale, particularly the way most people learn the scales, which, by the way, is like here. Okay, so let's take, A minor pentatonic or A minor blues. Okay, so you know the A blues scale, A minor blues scale. Great. Why did you learn it? You probably learned it because someone told you you should. That's not very helpful. Okay, really, what you need to know is what's the purpose behind that. Okay, so the purpose is we want to solo over a blues in A. So we have a blues in A. Well, it turns out that one of the ways that you can solo over a blues in A is using the A minor blues scale. So now we actually have a purpose. Now we have a problem looking for a solution. The problem is, how do I solo over an A blues? So now we have it, okay? Well, here's the thing that starts to happen. Let's say that you've started with that, okay? So you're like, now I've got a blues in A, and so now my problem is I don't like the sound of this. And this is all I seem to do. Okay, so now you have a problem of boredom, for lack of a better word. Well, and that's because there's no vocabulary. Okay, so if you're just playing the scale up and down, you're not really saying anything. I often liken that to, a one-year-old or a two-year-old learning to talk. If you ever have had an infant and you've been driving around town with your infant sitting in the back seat going blah, 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 making all kinds of sounds, that's kind of like what this is. Right? We're making sounds, but we're not saying anything, right? That's where some of those, standard licks. Okay, all of those things, those are ideas that I learned at some point along the way. And usually they come from some other person, some other guitar player, B.B. King, Freddie King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, whomever, Albert King, big one. So my ideas often come from that, or they come from in here. I had this idea. Now, where did I get that idea? I probably heard it somewhere, or I heard something, or I was kind of messing around, and I kind of came up with something that I liked. Okay, any of those are perfectly legitimate places to come up with an idea. But when you have that idea, right, now we have some vocabulary, now we got to work with it. So make sure you try it over different tempos, different keys, all those different things. And what might happen is, as you're going along, let's say you play one of those ideas and you find yourself in some new part of the fretboard. And you find yourself over here and you think to yourself, wow, how do I play the A minor pentatonic scale here? I find myself with my third finger on this, on the C here at the 13th fret of the second string. I know there's an A here. I got my first finger on it. What am I going to do there? How am I going to find how do I play the scale? I don't know, right? I'm lost. Okay, this is, what I commonly get. People come in, and they're like, oh, I need to master the fretboard because I get lost. Okay, well, that's because you have to tackle these instances as they occur. So this is a really good example of a problem looking for a solution. So how can I solve that? I could go through a couple of different ways. I could go and say, okay, well, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to have to come back to it, right? This is the 10th fret on the 2nd string. I got my first finger there. So if I go through the boxes as I know them, then I go up to the second one. Okay, well, that's the note that I need, but this is the wrong finger. So I got to keep going to the next box. And I discover, oh, okay, so box 3. So now when I find myself here, where I've got this first finger, on that A right there, and I need the A blues scale, that's going to be box 3. Okay, so now I have solved a problem. And I actually have a reason that I need box 3, okay? Why is this so important? Because you'll remember it. The first time you have to go figure that out and actually go through some boxes and sort of calculate that, you will remember that because that is the solution to the problem that you had. And that's very, very, very important. It's so important in my experience that I actually have what I call the blues scale trainer tool, which will give you problems to go find the solution. It's like a bunch of flashcards, and you can choose. It'll choose a key for you. It'll choose whether it should be major or minor. It'll choose whether it should be what I call left facing or right facing. So in many instances, for example, what we found was a right facing towards the body. If I'd had my third finger there, it would have been a left facing. Anyway, this sort of thing comes up all the time. This is, in fact, I've been playing guitar now for 41 years. Yeah, 41 years. I've been teaching guitar for 35 of them. And this is the one thing that still trips me up. This is the whole idea of mastering the fretboard. Please let me know when you do that. But let's say, and usually it's some kind of weird jazzy thing. I get that. But I might find myself here. And I have to figure out how to play, for example, let's say an alto dominant kind of sound. Right? It could be something strange. And I find myself in a weird place and I don't know how to get out of it. That's what learning the fretboard is all about, is getting yourself into a situation and figuring out how to get out of it. And when you figure that out, you won't make that mistake anymore. You'll have that place figured out. But there's a whole lot of places to possibly discover. Right? So that's why, for example, using the flashcard tool, I'll leave a link near this video, is a great way to do that, because you find yourself in a position where you're like, okay, I'll give you an example, right? We all know box 1. Probably, anyway. Okay, well, there's an A in the middle of that. So you would be amazed how often I will have a student come in and I'll say, hey, can you play box 1? And they say, sure. And they play this. And then I say, can you play, okay, if you take that A, if you take an A on the 4th string, and so they find that, I say, can you play me a left-facing minor pentatonic scale? Which is still box 1. It's nothing different, okay? But you would be amazed how often simply having to start in the middle of that pattern, a student will get very, very, very lost, because it's not the way that they look at it all the time. If I can change how you look at something, I can usually trip you up, and that's how we get expansion. That's how we get improvement, is I can get you to trip up and see things a little bit different. So what I want to encourage you to do, this tool that I'm talking about, it's free. You can just go there. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. I made this many years ago. I came up with this idea actually, and one of my customers sort of gave me the base code for this. I didn't write it. I'm not a coder or anything, but we made it a little bit prettier. And you should try it out. I encourage you. It's a really, really, really great way to use to learn your scales, not just as box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, but learning, okay, I've got this root note, here's kind of where my hand position is, I need this sound, how do I get it? Because that's what you will stumble upon in the real world. And I haven't talked about this in a while, so I thought today would be a good time to talk about it. So I hope that you will follow the link that I'll leave near this video and go try this out for yourself. There's also a video on that page you can kind of play with, and it'll give you a little bit more insight. And of course, I've got a PDF with all the boxes and everything in case you don't know them. But what's cool is on that page, if you don't know what you're doing, you can click the hint button and it will give you a picture of it. So it's very handy. It's a great way. This is, like I say, this is learning your scales as a solution to a problem rather than a solution looking for a problem. When you learn a pattern and you don't have any reason for it, you don't have any use for it, it tends to go away. You tend to not really, it just doesn't stick. When you have a reason for things, they will stick with you. So give that a shot. As always, if you have guitar playing friends you think would dig this video, I hope you'll share it with them. I'm Griff Hellman from Blues Guitar Unleashed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.